Good morning. 11:22 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Thursday, May 30th, 2024. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. Okay, so I want to welcome everybody in this morning. Little update about my son is I get so many questions and concerns and everything like that. So I did see some people that must not have seen the last day and a half or so that are still asking about the leukemia and stuff like that. He does not have leukemia. His cancer was negative for cancer. They did they sent it out to a specialist. They did it with oncology. They put it under the microscope, and he was negative for any kind of cancer. The leukemia was negative and all that good stuff. So fast forward to yesterday, and I've been telling them I feel like my son has a virus. I feel like I didn't know if he had the flu or what, but I've been telling them to please swab his nose so that we know we're on the cancer floor, so I'm surprised they didn't do it before. So yesterday it came back positive that he had the paraflu, which is like similar to influenza, but in children. It's very common for school-age kids. So he has that, but we have a resolution too, but as you all know, he has feeding difficulties on the spectrum, and he's got very bad psychological issues, so tomorrow he's going to have a surgical procedure. They're going to put in the G tube. It's through your abdomen. It's okay, so the surgical is more invasive, but it's less invasive than having an NG tube, the nasal gastro intestinal placement. It's much less invasive the way we chose to do it. And for my son, he's got a lot of issues. He sneezes and the mucus comes out his nose, so asphyxiation can be an issue. So we're finally getting my son what he needs for nutrition, and we're very excited about it. It's not as scary as you might think. Julie has a type 1 diabetic, and when she was 7, when me and Julie first got together, she ended up going into diabetic ketosis because no one knew she was diabetic, and her sugar shot up to almost it was about 6. It was crazy. But she was hospitalized for like 3-4 weeks. So yeah, that was a big process, and now 10 years later, she does it all herself now, but back then it was a scary process. So this should be a pretty seamless transition. I feel very comforted that my son's going to get his proper nutrition, and he'll be able to, grow and develop like he should and not have any kind of issues because of malnourishment and stuff like that, from lack of intake from different kind of foods and meats and dairy, that kind of stuff. So I don't want to say I'm excited that he's got to have it, but I'm pretty excited that we now have a way to supplement my son and give him the food he needs, without giving him more aversion by forcing it down his throat. Now when he takes medicines, he won't have to take it down his throat either, so it's going to cause a lot less aversion. So he's scheduled for that at 7:30 a.m. tomorrow. It's about an hour long, and then recovery, takes a few weeks to heal, but it's pretty right off the bat. Should be doing okay. So a couple days of monitoring, so I don't know when we're going to get out of here. But at least a couple more days. But at least we have a game plan done. We know it's not cancer. We know that there's nothing wrong with any of his vital organs. He's had every test known to man that you could think of. All of his organs are good. They even went down with the scope yesterday. His throat, his esophagus, his intestinal tract looked good. Everything looked good. They did do a biopsy while they were in his throat with the scope just to see if he has any kind of food allergy or affected by gluten or inflammation, but I won't get those results yet. But she doesn't see anything that should suggest anything, so that's kind of like just let's do this while we're there to give a little sample. But as far as everything, as far as how this could have went, it's 100% the best case scenario. There is nothing physically wrong with my son internally, his organs, anything. No blood disorders, nothing. The only thing he picked up was the flu. But yeah, so a lot of this, and they've already said it's from the accident, PTSD. It's a psychological issue now, behavioral and psychological, and 100% they can track it now. So now I just need to get it in writing, so all future stuff will be covered for my son, because it's clear that it was from the car accident, and he's developed anxiety and fears and things like that along the way. And then there's just challenges when you're on the spectrum, or when he's been diagnosed with the global developmental delay already. But they want to go through a year of his schooling before they actually see if he's on the with autistic, if they want to give him a full autistic diagnosis, because he is starting to talk now. He says, "Mom." He said no to me yesterday, which I've never heard him say no to me, because I said, "Son, do you want to do," I go, "T3, do you want to do this like this? If I do this?" And he goes, "No." And he said it real demand, like real intent. I was like, holy crap. He said no. And then he even said, he only said mom. And now all of a sudden the last 2 days he said grandma. And he said no. So he's starting to pick things up now. So it's a shame that he can't go through his schooling because he's here, because he only had a few more weeks left of this year. But the first couple weeks was vital for him. So, but yeah, let's get past that. So I do appreciate all the questions. I hope that was enough to answer what I needed to. It's unfortunate with crypto. I had a beautiful trade here. I've been in the hospital, so I didn't even know it went up. So basically, I bought this before it ever broke out of here, and it went up all the way up. I didn't even know. I've been dealing with my son, so I didn't even know that it was up like 9% this morning. I had no idea. So now, with this consolidation, what I'm hoping for is that this will bounce off of this level, and then it'll just rotate back up. But we'll see. We'll see. But AMP definitely had a nice 9 to 10% surge. We were watching it hit our levels perfectly. In fact, it was where I was supposed to sell if it got rejected there, and then buy back when it came back down like it did. But, you know, I can't do anything while I'm in here, so sometimes I miss things. So at least anybody who had AMP, you were able to front run that 10% move. And now it's consolidated, and now we have to see where we go from there. Unfortunately for XRP, as we talked yesterday, our cause for concern was the fact that we gave back the golden cross at 52.8 cents. And we talked yesterday, it's about a 24-minute update, and we talked very deeply about how we really needed to come back up in a very quick, whether it was a 1 or 2 4-hour candles, we really needed to come up, or we were going to invalidate that golden cross. And now that's exactly what we have done. It doesn't mean that it can't go back up, but when you start looking at it in perspective of the 4-hour time frame, one could argue the fact it came all the way down here to 51.30, and I know everybody who was here yesterday, we talked about this in the 60-second update I did last night as well, coming back down and retapping the 515, and then see if it could play off it as support. And it has so far. Now, the only problem is we've crossed back through, so that golden cross has now turned into a death cross. The 20 has come back through the 50 and the 100 now. So, it's come through the 50 and the 200. Yeah, see, this is completely reversed back down now. It's not invalidated though yet. Just remember this. It won't be, it's invalidated, but it won't be confirmed unless we get a rejection around 526. Does look like we could be trying to form some kind of inverted hammer, but the problem is, and we've only got 30 minutes left on this candle, the problem is it's all downward. It's all so far down. If we could push up before this candle's over and get up to around the 524 level in the next 30 minutes roughly, is that what's left on this candle? Yeah, about the next 29 minutes and 50 seconds. That's where we need to be. That's where we need to be. And then you could start engulfing again in the 4-hour time frame. So we'll keep an eye on that as the day progresses. But right now, it's certainly started to flip a little bearish here, obviously. We knew that yesterday. Bitcoin's up 1.06%, which continues to pile in this opportunity on the XRP Bitcoin pairing. Down 1.55% to 762. This is right around, I'm like down $11 this morning. So this is exactly where I bought in with my averages. Now, like we've said, it's either we get a rejection here and then we play off of this, we don't end up pushing up, and then we have to come down here, which is fine. If it comes to the 753, I'm more than willing. I would hope it comes there, actually, if it's going to come down here. But we're looking for the smaller time frames, as we've talked about, to catch up to the weekly. Weekly's majorly oversold. It's trying to finally break bullish here. And you can see how it's pulled back up this entire weekly. There hasn't been any downside pressure. And if this continues and we start to push back up, I know it's engulfing to the downside, but there's not really anything more that's pushing this through. But we're waiting for the rest of the time frames to catch up. The daily is interesting today. It's down to 762, but if during the day this were to pop back up to like the 783 sat level, it could be very interesting, because this would signal a possible, not reversal, but it could signal that this is still pretty okay in this area as far as the volume consolidation is concerned. The 4-hourly is starting to push back up as well. So if you're asking me, there's a very real possibility with this rejection here at 770 sat level that we would come down to the 753, or even down, as we've talked about, possibly playing all the way down to the 716. I'd be more comfortable if it stayed within the 750 sat level, because then you got this expansion zone that we're trying to hold on to, but it looks like it's given back now. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out, but I still think it's a beautiful opportunity to continue to acquire XRP through the XRP Bitcoin pairing. And what I mean by that is if you buy Bitcoin first, then you buy it through, use the Bitcoin to buy XRP Bitcoin pairing, what you're betting on is the fact that XRP is going to appreciate greater than Bitcoin. So the opportunity would be to sell back into Bitcoin for a higher ratio so that you could get more cash and therefore buy more XRP, or vice versa, or use the Bitcoin to buy more, whatever. But right now, what you need to realize as well is you've got a safety net. Let's say for whatever reason, Bitcoin outperforms XRP massively, but XRP price is appreciating. Right now, I've got over 8,800 additional XRP on top of my 12,000 by doing this, as I've got just over 4,700 of my own money in this. It's valued at about 4,682 right now, so it's about $18 down is what I seen last when I checked. It's a little bit higher up than it was the last time I checked by 1/10 of a sat point. But you have the option of selling it now back out into XRP as well. So I could just as easily sell 8,800 XRP and get that price value as well. So you're basically opening up your opportunity. And the only way you would do it like this is if the ratio is out of whack. So I like to compare it to like the gold silver ratio. When it was up at, for a long time, it was 80 to 1 and higher. Right now it's down to 74.6 to 1. So that's where the ratio will work in your favor. And it's the same thing with XRP Bitcoin. In this case, you just say XRP is like silver, Bitcoin's like gold. The ratio is so out of whack right now that it makes more sense to accumulate the silver over the gold, if that makes sense. Not that you can't accumulate the gold, but it makes more sense because of the price levels, because of the suppression, because of the fact that it had the big breakout like Bitcoin, which would be gold in this scenario. It's no different than the gold silver right now. Gold's all the way up at 2,344. Silver's at 31.37. Now, yeah, it's a great job over $31. But remember, 40, 50 years ago, we were at 50 plus. Back in 2011, we hit 50 plus. So we're massively undervalued. And gold's still in all-time record high territory. So that's the difference. Silver would still have to do some 40% to even catch up to that kind of a ratio. So we'll see what happens. And then just pay attention to that for the XRP Bitcoin pairing. Bitcoin's up 863 points or 1.26% to 68,501. This gives a little opportunity here for the rest of crypto if this is a W reversal. And honestly, it's breaking back into a bullish territory. That's a beautiful 4-hour engulfing candle for Bitcoin. It broke back bullish in the relative strength index as well. It pushed past that resistance. This is a bullish look. We are trying to invalidate this bearish cross, so being over 68,170. As you can see, we got plenty of room over this, almost as if we're starting to push back up here. And then if we come up here, even if we get a rejection, you'd anticipate 70,500. But eventually, if this breaks out with the entirety of this pattern, you're talking about 88,000. You're talking about 88,000, and that's what would get us the big appreciation, because honestly, we're in a gigantic pennant flag. We're in a big pennant flag. We broke out, and now we've got the consolidatory zone over the top that was formed with resistance. So to confirm this breakout of the pennant flag, you need to get up and over and hold the top side at around 70,800. That would confirm what we're looking for. If we get over that 70,800, then it could open up the door for an $18,000 pump for Bitcoin. And right now, it does look like it's very much so setting up as a pennant flag. So that's something I want to continue to monitor. XRP Healthcare is down to about 4.9 cents. Continues to consolidate here. I don't think it's any surprise. I know we haven't been able to go as deep into detail because I haven't been able to do live, and since my son's been admitted. And this is his 6th day here now, so he's been here 5 nights already. We don't know. Maybe if the G-Tube goes, because it's going in tomorrow, he's got his thing at 7:30 a.m. If everything goes good, maybe by the end of the weekend, early next week, I'll be able to go home. But at the same time, I don't want to go anywhere yet. I want to make sure that everything's going good. I've got a lot of validation about how they misdiagnosed him at the other hospital. And it was just inappropriate how they even let him go without a proper resolution, in my opinion. But, it is what it is. I came to the right place. I try to keep my mind right. The one thing that I haven't done is I haven't been able to work out this week. I've been walking 25,000 steps a day roughly because there's so much to walk, so much stress and stuff. So I'm getting a lot of cardio. I've definitely dropped some weight, not the best way. I don't really want to drop weight. Haven't been able to do any kind of weightlifting or anything, so I'll take a week off of that at least. We'll get back to it next week, hopefully, if everything goes good. But I'm just so proud of my son. He's handling it like a champ. Tomorrow I'll be in a little bit of pain because obviously it's a surgical procedure, but it's literally, he's got to deal with something about that big on the outside. So it was either, you know, they wanted to do, trust me, they tried to, one lady tried to pressure me into the NG tube, which everybody else vehemently disagreed. And I was like, listen, lady, I know my son. I'll have my legal representation on your ass if you even try to do that. So that was the last they talked about that. So, anyhow, we got this pattern formation here with the XRP Healthcare. It's either going to hold this area at 4.9, and this is what we were waiting for. See if this can hold. And then if not, then there's the possibility of coming down to like 3.3, 3.2. You've also got the possibility, if we look at the other XRP Healthcare chart, we said 3.3, 3.2, but there is that 4-cent support at the 200-day, which I could see. So just pay attention to all of that. We'll continue to monitor that. As you know, I have 55,000 tokens of plus of the XRP Healthcare stake for 6 months at 20% on the XRP Healthcare wallet. So just pay attention to that. If you're looking to trade XRP in the USA or worldwide with the lowest spot leverage trading fees, and you can futures trade, you can spot trade. It's in the video description below. It's BITUNIX. If you're looking to trade the XRP Bitcoin pairing like I do, that's in MEXC. USA users, if you're not a new user, you are going to have a lot of issues. So just pay attention to that. But as of right now, that is what I'm doing with my holdings. I did not sell AMP like I said. I'm up a little bit right now, only a couple percent, but I did miss the opportunity of selling it for like 10%. But that is a massive, what looks like it's forming an inverted hammer candle. So we'll see just how much potential this has. The technical sell point would have been if it couldn't hold the 771 to buy it back on the way down. We do have an increase in volume, so it's possible that this could have been the start of a breakout, and in the next 8 hours that it could start rotating back the other way. So just pay attention to AMP. Unless it does just break through now. But there is a lot of potential here, so that's a big inverted candle. So we'll see how that plays out. And then before I let you go, I want to play, or not play, I want to read this. Not this. I want to read this. So, and if you do appreciate my work, consider joining Tom's Army. I don't think a single person has joined this entire month, so it's a shame, but, you know, I've been in the hospital for like almost 4 weeks, 3 weeks this month with my son, 2 different hospitals, so, it's been a little different not doing the lives, I acknowledge, but it's still been fun to keep everybody updated through the updates and then to read what everybody says, so consider sending 1 YouTube super chat per month as it is the end of the month, or consider joining Tom's Army and pay it forward. I would greatly appreciate it. So Ripple versus SEC, new filing details, controversial XRP sales. So we'll read this and then I'll let this update go and then I'm going to go back down to my son. So as Ripple opposes SEC's $2 billion penalty, questions arise about what they're keeping secret regarding XRP sales. In the ongoing legal battle between Ripple and the SEC, the crypto company has filed a response in support of its motion to seal documents related to the SEC's motion for judgment and remedies. The move comes amid the regulator's request for $2 billion in penalties related to Ripple's institutional XRP sales. The latest filing seeks to counter 2 primary arguments made by the SEC. First, Ripple disputes the claim that historical contracts are no longer relevant due to changes in the way Ripple sells XRP. The company reports that these contracts, despite being older, contain sensitive terms that could provide undue leverage to future counterparties. Ripple asserts that while it no longer sells XRP in the same manner as it did during the period under review, the details of those past transactions remain commercially significant. So here's James K. Phelan, and this is, that's the filing that I wanted to read. But he says, XRP community SEC Gov versus Ripple. Ripple has filed a reply letter in further support of its motion to seal document in connection with the SEC's government's motion for judgment remedies. And I will read this in a separate update today, probably in a few hours from now, where I will only read over this and that. So it's only like a 3 to 4 minute update. I just don't want to cloud it with this one because it's going to end up taking 30, 35 minutes if I do that. So let's read through this, and it'll at least point you to some of the facts of it. And then later on, in about a couple hours from now, I'll come back up here and I'll read this so that we have this documentation and we can see exactly what it says in there, because I would like to separate that from this. So we'll get a brief overview here. So the filing emphasizes that the company no longer engages in over-the-counter transactions with characteristics that were previously considered institutional sales. The company is now focused on selling XRP for use in its on-demand liquidity, the ODL, product, which does not involve the same terms as earlier contracts. Ripple argues that disclosing the specifics of past trades would be detrimental to its current business. So irrelevant and confidential. More to the point, Ripple denies the relevance of its current financial condition to the court's determination of past conduct. The company contends that its financial statements from the years after the challenged actions are irrelevant and should remain confidential. It argues that the SEC's request for these documents is unwarranted and that the court can make its determination without revealing sensitive financial information. The court's decision on whether to grant Ripple's motion to seal these documents is pending. So once again, I thank you for tuning in. Please make sure to hit that like button so YouTube recommends this update. Don't forget to give thanks to your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because you never know what tomorrow brings. If you did make it until the end, type in the comments hashtag be better, do better. And remember, this is a serious message. Like, when I talk to everybody, positivity over negativity. I want helpfulness over hurtfulness in the comments. You know, I want you to lend a helping hand than to be demeaning. I don't want you to play the victim in the comments. I want you to play the winner, because we're not victims. We're all rather lucky to be here together. We are winners, which means we have to have all the information and news alike to make an educated and informed decision. Not just from the charts, the news alike. So, it's just a beautiful thing when you think about all the people we have here that can help each other. So, and just remember, help one person each and every day. Because if I don't do my part and you don't do your part, what really is the purpose of this entire journey? And I'm going to get back to that message. Remember that. If I don't do my part and you don't do your part, what's the point? If we're not all in this together, what is really the point? So take that with you for the day. Be blessed. Give your children a hug and a kiss for me. Embrace them and just tell them how much you love them, because you never know what tomorrow can bring.